and the Daily Caller's White House correspondent Sagar and Jetty. Thank you both for being here tonight.
Thanks for having us, Shannon.
Okay, so we are going to play this video and let people watch as this went down between the president and Jim Acosta. You see the White House intern as well. We'll watch. Okay, you don't have the audio there, but you could see she's a young woman, obviously placed in a situation, here's in slow motion, where she's trying to get the microphone to take it on to another person to ask a question. She's obviously trying to do what she thinks is right. His hand does touch her. She reaches in. Jeff, you were right there. So tell us what you experienced being in the middle of this.
Well, honestly, Shannon, I don't have much to add besides what you can see in that video. I was sitting right next to Jim today, and along with a bunch of reporters was in that press conference and watched what happened. And, you know, we're all paying attention to what we want to ask and to the content of the press conference in addition to what the president is saying. And so I don't have a whole lot more to say. But I mean, I think that video sort of shows what happened. Jim held on to the microphone. The intern went in to grab the microphone, and that's what happened.
Okay, Sagar, we want to play a little bit of an interchange, too, between the president and April Ryan, who stood up to ask a question while you were trying to ask a question.
That's right.
It was a little dicey in there today. Okay, here's that moment.
Sit down, please. Sit down. I didn't call you. I didn't call you. I didn't call you. I'll give you voter suppression. Take a look at the CNN polls, how inaccurate they were. That's called voter suppression. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. President.
I'm not responding. I'm responding to. Excuse me. I'm not responding to you. I'm talking to this gentleman. Will you please sit down?
Okay, so you have the microphone there. It's your turn to ask the question, but April Ryan clearly is very motivated and passionate to talk about what she wanted to discuss there. I mean, this is just so different than what we've seen in the past. I mean, the president said, I haven't called on you. It is not your turn. You don't just get to stand up and ask a question.
That's happened in the past, though. I mean, sometimes reporters do ask questions out of turn. In defense of April Ryan, I think he had actually responded to something that she had said, and then he had called on me. This happens frequently in the press briefing room and in these freewheeling press conferences with the president. I simply just wait until the situation resolves itself, and then I'll jump right in whenever I'm needed.
Yeah, so he did talk about the midterms today, but we got off on so many other things, some of these dust-ups. There was another one, too, that I wanted to play from another reporter, and this is the subject of using the word nationalist.
On the campaign trail, you called yourself a nationalist. Some people saw that as emboldening white nationalists. Now people are also saying that the president.
That's such a racist
There are
question.
some people that say that now the Republican Party is seen as supporting white nationalists because of your rhetoric. What do you make of that?
I don't believe it. Excuse me. But to say that, what you said, is so insulting to me. It's a very terrible thing that you said.
Jeff?
Look, that's an issue that he's been asked about before. It's come up. I think it came up in the Oval Office once, right after he started using the issue or using the term nationalist. So it's a question that he's been confronted with before. And Yamiche, working for PBS NewsHour, wanted to ask that question in the press conference. And she's a great reporter.
Yeah, and he did go into a little bit more of an explanation, saying the use of the word nationalist versus globalist, saying I care about this country, I care about the rest of the world, we want to help them do things, but I want to take care of this country first. But Sagar, I know for a lot of people, you use the word nationalist, and for some of them, it triggers something else.
Yeah, it does trigger something else, but it is devoid of historical context. Nationalist is a term that, if you studied history, it does mean defense of the nation state, and it is a rejection of globalist values, which is something that the president likes to talk about. I think in that moment he was frustrated with Yamiche unfairly, largely because he was just frustrated broadly with the accusations that he's hearing over and over again on cable news. There is an obvious distinction between being an American nationalist and a white nationalist, and I think he articulated how he views that, and it's a consistent position intrinsic to our history. There have been American nationalists for a long time.
And he did repudiate this idea of any support of white nationalism. He went through that multiple times today. Where do you think we go from here? I mean, do you think this is temporary with Jim?
It's hard to say. I mean, that's going to be something that will be worked out between CNN and the White House. But it was definitely a contentious news conference today, and the fact that it's led to that is very unfortunate. I
mean, do you all feel an obligation as reporters who are part of the White House press corps to say anything more definitive in his defense? I mean, we obviously have the correspondent's president, Olivier, speaking out tonight, Olivier Knox.
Yeah, I'd leave it to Olivia. I mean, we don't, beyond the merits, we have all evaluated it for themselves. The White House has acted in its defense. The White House Correspondents Association is speaking out against it, and it's up to CNN and the White House to resolve this.
As a former president of the White House Correspondents Association, I know what it's like when other people try to speak for the association, so I would also echo what Sagar said and leave it to Olivier.
Like within 24 hours, there will be major new developments in this story. The past may be
and many others.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Jeff and Sagar, thank you both for staying late with us after being a part of that today as well.
Thank you.
Thanks, Shannon.
Good to see you. All right, as you may know, the Democrats